Hello, Liverpool. Welcome back to Poolside Chat. On today's episode, we talked to Daniel Henner about his recent trip to the Micron facilities.
Mr. Henner, we're so glad to have you back on the show. You came here earlier in the year to discuss more general stuff, but this is a very exciting episode because we're talking about a specific opportunity that's coming to Liverpool that's huge and that's we've never really seen before. But before we get into all that serious stuff, we had an eclipse recently. Like, what did you do for the eclipse?
I got a few friends over and we watched it and just in my backyard and real quiet. Made a fire, and it was a once in a lifetime experience. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos before I just kind of understand it. It was really interesting that they talked about the connection with like history, and learning about that history and how people 100, 200, 300 years ago were watching it and how they understood what was going on. Or they didn't understand what was going on. So learning that history was really interesting to me. But the event itself was fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you have a good view, or was it kind of cloudy? Because I know where I was, I really couldn't see it too much.
There were moments where you couldn't see. There were moments where it was cloudy. There were moments where you had a nice view. But I mean, for me, the 2 or 3 minutes that it was dark, it was that was like really memorable. Actually, one of my memories is right before it got dark, one of the individuals I was with said, I thought it was supposed to get dark. I was like, well, give it another minute. And then when it went dark, we were just like, it was like something you would watch in a movie, but you were living it. So it was a great experience.
Fascinating. So speaking of science and like these big grand ideas, you and a few other members of staff went down to Manassas, Virginia, to the Micron facilities to explore what they might be bringing to Liverpool and the opportunities they might bring, especially in context of how it might affect our school district. So just in general terms, how was like the trip getting down there and everything?
So we flew down on a Tuesday evening after work. They put us up in a hotel that literally is from Wetzel Road to the Morgan Road building. So they transported us to the Micron plant the next morning, but it was like very convenient. Yeah, I mean they did a nice job putting us up, and and then we flew home Thursday late afternoon. So they filled our schedule while we were down there, no doubt.
So it was just the teachers, right? There wasn't any students on the trip, or?
Nope, there were 3 teachers, Mrs. Dolson, the assistant superintendent, and myself. So there were 5 of us. Liverpool, I believe, was the only school that actually brought an elementary teacher. So we brought 1 elementary teacher, 1 middle school teacher, and 1 high school teacher. And there were 5 school districts. There were us, North Syracuse, Baldwinsville, Chittenango, and East Syracuse, Manoa.
Is there plans to go on this trip, like not annually, but maybe every few years to kind of see updates, or was this kind of a one-time thing just to get a general feel of everything?
So I do think there will be some more follow-up trips that give exposure to different groups of people that are part of the curriculum writing that will be going on. So we can build our programs here to help Micron, gain the employees that they're going to need to fill these fabs. But I wouldn't say that there would be years of making the trip because in a short period of time we're going to have a factory in our backyard.
So obviously Micron is a huge technology company, and they're paving the chip development in general is paving the way for future in technology. So based on that, do you think that in schools there will be a shift in focus? Not that there already wasn't an emphasis on STEM, but that STEM will become a very important part of the curriculum locally?
So what I listened to and what I heard was, there's definitely an emphasis on STEM related activities, but in Liverpool we are blessed with having a really rich elective based program with what we did with Education 2020. So that already exists. for the kids that are interested in going in those STEM fields in our middle schools. And then, you're part of a CTE program here, and we have other CTE programs that we're working on to develop. And there's no doubt another pathway that's linked to some of the Micron opportunities we'll be developing with the region. That was one of the reasons why we went down to Manassas to develop those things. But we're fortunate to have some of the things that I already talked about, like our robotics competitions, our robotics pathways. Really, what one of the things that the engineers and the technicians that talk to us about is they need the soft skills. They need the ability for students to problem solve with their hands, see things, think on their feet, and that's what our current CTE programs, our current robotics programs, that's what they allow you to do. I mean, I watched you set up your sets today, with all the technology. Those are things that they're looking for. Is do you have a prior experience doing things, and they're looking for those soft skills, and then they'll hire. One of the things they said, they'll hire people with the soft skills, and then they're going to train you based on what their needs are. They want to do the hands-on training in their factories. But they need students that have the prerequisite skills that really aren't the day-to-day things that you would do at Micron. They're more of the things that we already offer. But the one thing that we did see is the emphasis of these earlier, grades 3 through 5, doing more at that level. And I actually, at our professional development day yesterday, attended a PD session with a group of 5th grade teachers that we actually discussed what we could do in grades 3 through 5 based on the trip. And one of the teachers that joined us on the trip, Mr. Dennis, he was a part of that conversation, and it was. I'm looking forward to see what they'll develop over the next year, and hopefully we have a huge impact with those 3-5 kids and do some more things, which will feed our electives in the middle schools, which will feed our CT programs in the high school, which will ultimately feed hopefully employees for Micron.
Awesome. And speaking of student involvement, we know that Micron also offers like a chip camp for students to go, or just young people to go and learn about what Micron does and play with chips and that kind of thing. Do you feel like that's something that LHS students or Liverpool students district-wide will be able to take advantage of and really integrate those skills into their curriculum, into their schoolwork?
Yeah, so we'll be offering another chip camp here during spring break, so here in another week. And I believe that there'll be middle school kids participating in that. And those, again, are STEM-related activities the kids will be doing during the camp, and they'll have the opportunity of visiting a clean room, seeing what it's all about. I know for me, when we went down to saw the actual manufacturing, of the chips, seeing the employees in their bunny suits, they're clean, like white suits, in the clean room. They gave us an opportunity to actually, they have this like frosted glass, the magnetic glass that you hit the button and it goes clear. And looking into the fab was breathtaking to see the amount of technology, the amount of robots, the amount of automation that was working. And we're not talking like when you would see like a car built with a robot. It was actually like robots actually working, and 3 or 4 people in these bunny suits, just doing quality control and making sure everything was happening the way it needed to happen. Looking in that room, it was like watching a sci-fi movie. I couldn't comprehend the amount of like 2050 type of technology that we were seeing that was actually happening now, and that's why they took security so serious with us. We weren't allowed to bring laptop computers in. There were security people with us the whole time. They taped our phones as far as our cameras go. So it was a high level of security, and they actually walked us through how it's actually linked to national security. That's one of the reasons why the federal government is supporting Micron to make these chips in our country, we won't be exporting the chips in once we get all these things going, and it really does. It connected to some things that I never connected to. I was always looking at this as these are more jobs for our community. I never thought of it from a national security point of view. So there's a lot going on here, but there's a lot of positive things going on the world or this community that you're going to grow up is a lot different than the community that I would have grown up in, when I was in high school 30 years ago. So I think you have a lot of exciting opportunities coming your way.
Just to kind of follow up on earlier, I know you were talking about some of the knowledge you gained there to help you develop the curriculums. Obviously, I'm sure you don't have specific guidelines set out, but like generally, what is some of that knowledge that you could share?
Well, I think just the massive number of employees that they need, listening to what they needed, how big these fabs were. So the fab that we actually went in was 15% of the size of what they're going to build here. So so that was, and this plant was absolutely huge. I mean, we're talking about this whole property, okay, from this building at Wetzel all the way to Morgan Road being one plant, okay, and that's 15% of what they're going to build here. I mean, it's breathtaking to think about that being like what they consider small compared to what they're going to build here. And so then when you think about, okay, there are X number of employees there, and they need, if that's 15%, they need so many more employees, and then the supply chain of the companies that will move here to supply the Micron plant. I mean, it's just the massive numbers of what they're going to need with technicians and engineers. I mean, they'll need lawyers. They're going to need just so many different pieces, and and then people are going to live here. We're going to need more doctors. We're going to need more firemen. We're going to need more police officers. I mean, they're talking about the possibility of building 30,000 houses over the next 15 to 20 years. I mean, apartment complexes. So the construction of the fab is just really a small piece of all the things that are going to happen because of the domino effect of bringing that many employees here. I mean, some of the employees will be out of our local schools. Some of the employees are going to be from all over the country, and they've already started the recruitment, knowing that they want to have these educational programs here. I mean, they've partnered with Syracuse University and OCC, so they're working hard to develop the talent here, but they know to get this off the ground, they're going to have to bring talent in from the outside as well.
And speaking of this large job saturation and the potential population boom in the local area, how do you feel that will affect the size and the scale of Liverpool Central School District?
We're going to grow. If you look at the last 30 years of Liverpool, each decade we've lost 1,000 students. What I'm seeing right now is we've stayed pretty much at a net neutral over the past 5 years, which is good. We don't want to lose students. But what's going to shift is that and it's not going to happen overnight. But there are people that believe that we could double in size. We could absolutely double in size over the next 20 years, which will obviously mean we'll have to do capital projects. We're going to have to do things to our school district, to be ready for that or prepare for all of that, which is why the construction projects that we're doing now are so important, because we want to get everything that we have up to date before we start adding to what we do. But the way the state funds us, it's based on enrollment. So as our enrollment grows, the state will fund us as far as those additions go. So it's just really important that we see where we are, where we're planning for the future as well. So it's not only do we need to support the Micron expansion and the supply chain of what they need for employees, we also need to understand what the school district's going to need for all the people that move here so their children can get a first-class education.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
I don't think I have any more follow-ups. I mean, you really did a good job at explaining everything thoroughly, and I feel excited about all these new developments coming.
Well, if you ever want me back, I'd be more than happy to come back anytime.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Henner.
Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.